Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for downloading episode 142 of We Got This with Mark and Hal. Please enjoy my now deeper voice, thanks to the dry California winds. This is what I sound like now and forevermore. That's why I'm going to use this voice to implore you to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps new people find the show and also is a big help in unlocking some of that merch that some of you might be wanting. Want a We Got This t-shirt? There's only one way to get there. More reviews. Do it now. But first, please enjoy episode 142 of We Got This with Mark and Hal.
Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all. Board games or video games?
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Ready Player One.
Okay, what button am I supposed to push here? Select.
I already pressed the record button, Mark. We're starting.
Oh, great.
We took the bit I killed the bit.
You did kill a bit.
The bit.
You butted me.
And then I killed it because I was like, this is a terrible bit. Mark is way better at these than I am.
I was trying to figure out what the bit was.
Yeah.
And then I witnessed the murder of the bit.
Nobody knew.
I assumed you were the voice of the computer screen, and then maybe you realized you were like, I don't want to be just a computer screen voice.
That was part of it.
I want to be a real life voice.
The AI became sentient, and I was like, I hate being a computer. What if that was the Terminator? They didn't kill us. They were just really sad.
They were really bummed out. This whole time, where's my humanity? I just want love.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, hello, Hal. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Let's play a game today.
Okay.
You want to play a game right now? We're going to start with a game right off the bat.
Okay.
There's a person sitting to your left. Don't look!
Okay.
Okay?
I'm not looking.
Who is the person sitting to your left?
It's Chloe Dykstra, which I know because I saw her before when you told me not to look.
Oh, you're cheating at this game.
Hi,
Chloe.
It wasn't the song that I sang earlier. You know my address now, too.
Yeah.
Apparently.
You're not going to repeat the song, obviously, but when you were a child, you were taught a song to identify yourself and your home address.
Yes.
In case you got lost.
Yes, exactly. That was what my mom was thinking. My mom had never had children before me. Mm-hmm. I don't think she intended to have children. And then she had me. And then she taught me that song to give me. So just to give you an idea of what her parenting style was kind of like, she's like, she could just sort of push me out the door and be like, here's the song. Come back eventually.
Was it trust or was it naivete?
I think it's a little bit of both.
That's
my
fair.
mom was kind of like, she just would, she's a very hippie when she was 18, she flew out to England to be part of, she wanted to work with the Beatles. And then she just went to England and then figured out how to work with the Beatles. So
did she wind up working with the Beatles?
Yes.
Wait, what?
My mom's a tour manager. She mostly worked with Supertramp, Bob Marley,
So the crappy bands and acts.
Yeah, the crappy bands.
But David Bowie, she worked with David Bowie,
The worst.
Rod Stewart. So she's done everything just sort of worked out for her. You know what I mean?
That's incredible.
It was so. I think that's kind of like, she'll turn up.
Were you ever on the road with when your mom was tour managing one of these acts?
No, because my mom was long retired when she had me. Like the whole oops, I'm 40, I had a kid kind of thing happened.
Sure.
But she and my dad were together on and off for about 10 years, and then hello.
Right on. Well, we're very glad that that whatever that whirlwind she was in her life created a wonderful person that is sitting here with us right now to talk about games.
An expert gamer nonetheless, both video games and board / let's call them tabletop games.
Well, okay.
Right?
So I wouldn't say I'm an expert at either. I just really like them.
That's enough for me.
But if you go to Geek and Sundry and you hang out with those kids, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They know all about the board games. I know a little bit more about video games.
Okay.
That's good because I know a little more about board games and virtually nothing about video games.
Oh, good. Okay, good. So
I do have a Wii if you guys want to play Wii.
Which one?
You just made the most furrow-browed face when I said I have a Wii.
There's there's like the Wii and then there's the Wii U.
Oh, no. The one that came out years and years and years ago.
The Wii U was garbage anyway, so.
Ooh, wow.
Oh, and don't worry, that's not a controversial opinion.
It's not?
No.
Oh, okay,
I'm not brave or anything for saying that.
So tell us about your gaming life. We should say we didn't mention yet that this episode, was sent to us by Caleb on our Facebook page.
Email.
Email.
You remembered because I texted you.
I only remember because you texted me this.
I did.
And I think you only texted me this so you wouldn't have to look it up in the course of doing this episode.
That is correct.
Guess what I'm doing right now?
You're looking it up.
In the course of this episode.
Just to be sure. But the topic is board games versus video games. If you haven't intuited it already, that's what we're going to be deciding here today. And Chloe, you are someone who plays a lot of video games, but you're also a tabletop gamer. Talk about your history with, let's start with video games. Just what was your history there?
Okay, so my history with video games, I started really young. I was talking about my mom. She was very not into video games. No sugar, none of that stuff. Very alternative.
Time out.
Yeah.
What was the most sugary cereal you were allowed to have in the house?
Oh, I don't know, some garbage. It was like not. I don't want to say garbage because it was probably very expensive. So I'm gonna sound like a butthole. There we go.
That was the best save I've seen.
Yeah.
Something from probably Whole Foods, some like Puffins, like Whole Foods, generic kind of like. It was, and then she put strawberries on it, and like there's your sugar for the day.
That's good enough.
Yeah, and then once a month she'd be like, "Okay, you can go pick a sugar cereal," and I get like one bowl, and then that was pretty much it.
Because it was just too much for you. You were like, "Oh, this is."
No, I loved it. My mom was just very no refined sugar or anything like that. So
I asked that because I had a similar. My mother, we didn't get like the healthiest. It would be like Cheerios. Cornflakes, Honey Nut Cheerios sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got those sometimes.
Yeah.
That was a lucky day.
Those are great. Yeah. But like Lucky Charms never darkened our doorway. So when I got to college, I first went into the dining hall and they had those tubes filled with like Fruit Loops and you just turned a wheel and then the bowl filled up. Yeah. I was like, how many of these can I have?
It was like a Price is Right game where everyone wins.
Oh my God. The day I moved out pretty much the day I turned 18 and I just bought Hot Pockets. I only ate Hot Pockets and sugar cereal, and that was it. I'm not even joking. Well, Lean Pockets, because I was at the time I was modeling, so I'm like, well, I gotta make sure I'm
you have to have
healthy.
Modeling.
Be healthy with your Lean Pockets. If you can go to the grocery store and leave with a cart and everything in it is in a colorful box.
Oh yeah.
You're probably not eating terribly well.
No.
That said, I have a whole pantry full of things that were in colorful boxes, so we'll dive in later.
This isn't the topic, but the best Lean Pocket is the turkey, cheddar, and broccoli, right?
I think I just ate the cheese ones because
wait.
Do you know those kids that are kind of weird that only eat like a variation of bread and cheese? Like it's either mac and cheese or like a grilled cheese sandwich or, that was me. I only ate bread and cheese and I've actually come back around to that as like these
life
days.
Comes full circle.
But it's like mozzarella on like ciabatta. Do you know what I mean? So it's not
elevated.
breaded. It's elevated.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you put apple on there? An apple on a grilled cheese
occasionally when occasionally.
Or is that too much sugar?
Well, the thing is, I get it from Starbucks. So I don't think I've made my own sandwich in quite a long time.
Oh, you got to try it. They're great. They're really fun.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's like a game you play against food.
Yeah.
And you win.
Mm-hmm. I remember even there was a time when I would just get they'd have frozen sandwiches in the supermarket. And now I look back on that, I can't believe I bought a frozen sandwich to put in the microwave. I couldn't even make my own sandwich. That's so pathetic.
You know what? Those were the times we lived in. We were all getting microwave food.
Yeah. Nobody knew back then.
Yeah, like Microwave Magic, which were French fries that came in a box. And you would just open it. Yeah. It was like a box of cigarettes, but it was filled with French fries. And you put it in and microwave it, and then you'd eat the French fries, and you would think to yourself, these aren't very good French fries, but they are French fries.
Close enough.
Yeah, I'm going to eat them and just shut up about it and have a good meal.
Yep.
I'm going to have, you're not going to have a good meal. You're going to have a technically accurate meal.
Barely.
Yeah. Just barely accurate.
Because if you put cheese on it, then it's protein. And that's literally how I would justify that stuff. It's so bad.
It's part of that pyramid, right?
Oh, wait, I have a really good one. I used to eat Amy's mac and cheese, and I would buy a little bottle of truffle oil. I would put truffle oil in
fancy
it and put it on a plate. And then it was truffle mac and cheese. I'm not joking.
What?
I thought I was so clever.
How much thought did you put into the plating? Like, was it like, I need to arrange it? Or it was like, dump it, Messy pile, truffle oil on top.
It wasn't for Instagram. It was to make me feel like not a terrible garbage person. Like a garbage bag full of frozen Amy's meals.
Which is the healthiest of the unhealthy meals.
Yeah, that's true. It is true.
Now I just have an image of you eating a lean cuisine, but with like a gilded fork.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if it's going in, it's going in fancy.
Yep.
You just lift the dome and it's a McRib underneath. Dinner is served once a year. This comes around. So fancy.
Excuse me, Mr. Drive-Thru person, could you put these white gloves on and then hand it to me?
It turns into.
But I always took pride in that I never ate fast food. I never went to the McDonald's, but the frozen meals, that was my home.
Yeah, McDonald's is my weakness.
Yeah.
And it is dangerous having one 5 minutes drive from here.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
it's so close.
That's open 24 hours a day, by the way.
So I'm a pescatarian. I was a full vegetarian for a couple years, and apparently literally nothing on the McDonald's menu is safe. Like even the
Really?
ice cream.
They put meat in the ice cream?
Oh.
They don't know. They're like, I don't know. We don't know. Sorry.
I don't like to think that they, like, cause sometimes you'll see this facility also processes nuts.
Yeah.
I don't want to look on the ice cream machine and see this facility also grinds the beef.
May
Like,
contain. Yeah. I mean, it could be gelatin or something. I mean, they just kind of
right.
throw whatever chemicals they can in there to make it stick together, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, all the machines are made of pig bones, and that's why everything that's served has touched an animal.
They've been cursed by a voodoo.
Yeah,
Voodoo priest.
exactly. That's why they only open over graveyards. Every single McDonald's. A lot of people they cut that out of the founder, but every single McDonald's is built over a graveyard. But you were talking about your history with video games.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And I immediately stopped
Well,
you
it all
because of
kind of
cereal.
ties in, all right? Because I'm a host, so this is my segue. But that's the kind of stuff that I would eat when I was playing video games. When I was like 19, I didn't really leave the house. I played. This is kind of embarrassing for people who are listening. I played a lot of Second Life. Are you guys familiar with this?
Yes.
I am
Okay.
familiar with Second Life. Is it still around?
Yes. It
I
is.
was thinking about this. I was driving downtown yesterday and just had the thought. I went, wonder if Second Life is still around.
You know what? We should come back to this.
Okay.
Okay, because I do want to talk about my Second Life days, because those are some of the best days of my life, and also some of the worst. But we'll talk about that.
Sure.
They're very dark days for me. But so when I was a kid, my mom didn't really let me play games. And then side note, my father, who I love dearly, is kind of like beep boop, hi, my father, I love you, like that kind of a father, and he's really good. Wonderful guy, but we never connected. He's working all the time. And, back in the day, Blockbuster would allow you to rent consoles. Do you remember those days?
Yes.
You could rent
You could
an
rent the
N64.
whole- I remember renting an
Yep.
N64
But it was like a
once.
5-day rental or something,
It
or like a
was.
Yeah.
weekend
Yeah,
rental.
it was a couple days. And then, so my mom got it for me, and she saw my dad and I playing Mario 64 together, and she's like, all right, fine. So for Christmas, I got an N64 and I got Zelda, and I remember opening Zelda. It was Ocarina of Time, and I was looking at it. I'm like, this game looks like trash. And my mom was like, it's got good reviews. And I played it, and it changed my life. I would come home and I would sit on the pause menu and listen to the music and play like the Ocarina songs and stuff, like the Bolero of Fire and the song Time. So much so I even got a tattoo for it.
Yes.
Wow.
And my dad and I played Zelda together. We played GoldenEye, and that's sort of my heart. Like, I got to be the little boy he always wanted, and we get to. I'm sorry, I'm being so mean to my parents. They're really wonderful people. Like, they have flaws. All parents do. But
Of course.
Yeah.
Parents are. I love them. So my dad and I have been playing games. We still play games. Like Breath of the Wild came out, and that's kind of how we get to spend time together. And he comes over to my house once a week, and we play through Breath of the Wild, and it's our little bonding thing. So after a couple years, I got an Xbox, after N64. I had the PS2. I had all of those consoles too, but
right.
I'd sort of taken a break for a minute, and I ended up getting an Xbox, and it was like the best thing ever. Cause do you remember getting your first console?
I do.
Do you remember
remember.
when you would wake up in the morning and you go, I can just go downstairs and play Call of Duty. I can play, or Halo, or whatever game that you just like, it's kind of like the sugar cereal thing. Like, as soon as you move out, you're like, I can just eat sugary cereal all the time.
Yeah.
100%.
But when you get your first console, you're like, I can just go on the internet and play this game with these people, whatever I want. And that was sort of my moment of like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like, I love doing this. And so I kind of went into games journalism. This is a really long story.
This is great because our listeners need to know that you know what you're talking about.
I for the most part, you know, I think I would hope I do. It's kind of my job at this point, but but yeah, no, I absolutely love it, and I've had every console since, and I just one of my favorite things in the world is just getting lost in a game, because movies last an hour and a half, and games can last as long as you want them to.
Do you generally play online with a community that you're playing with, or do you like playing games solo?
Oh, I mean, it depends, right? Because I love playing with my friends, and I get the most laughs out of that because you're just having fun and goofing around, and playing Battlegrounds is one of it's like, I mean, when it first came out and there's all those glitches and you're just taking advantage of all the glitches in the game, and it's so much fun. So I'd probably say that's the most fun, but it's a different experience for everyone, because with role play games, you just get to be the person that you wish you could be, like the super badass hero, you know. And you get to go explore worlds that you wouldn't, like Mass Effect. You're in the future in space, you know. It's amazing. You just can turn off this for a minute. I'm pointing at the window.
Yeah.
And
then, the listeners, she's not lying.
And then just be somewhere else.
So you bring up a good point. Several of them. One right now that it just occurs to me, if we were doing this podcast 15 years ago, maybe even a little earlier, when I'm old enough, I'm older enough than you that my first console that we had in our house was an Atari 2600.
Oh, dang.
My first solo was an NES.
Oh, wow.
So I've been through almost we didn't have an Odyssey, we didn't have a ColecoVision, or an Intellivision, but you know, I've been through I've seen the parade of time.
That's a pretty rare.
Yeah.
Where it looked like a phone receiver.
Yeah, exactly. You had to press number pad. Sure. How do I play baseball?
My grandmother had an Intellivision at her house, and we used to go over and play Snafu all the time.
Oh, wow.
Which eventually just became the game Snake on your phone. Because that's how basic it was. It could be on a black and white screen phone. That's how basically Intellivision was.
That's funny. I mean, that's pretty. I mean, I remember Snake being pretty cool when cell phones were out. You're like, well, I don't want the game. I don't want the phone that doesn't have a game on it.
Yeah.
What use is this?
Yeah.
I had a Palm Pilot Trio, Palm Trio, and I played Ya dice on it. They didn't have a Yahtzee license.
Wow.
I played that was my game that that I played was Ya dice.
Wow.
They're not fooling anybody that they're just a Yahtzee ripoff. Was it spelled YAH dice?
Of course it was.
As in the beginning of Yahtzee?
Dice.
Yeah.
Really put the least amount of effort into
that's
making that.
That's like making The Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
But all this to say, if we were recording this a couple decades earlier, I think it would be board games hand down. However, the video game experience has become so engrossing and so community building that a lot of the things that have been strikes against video games in the past no longer exist. So I think it's more of a fair fight now than it ever has been.
But let me ask you this. Is that engrossing nature of it problematic in any ways? I know that it is an amazing, magical, wonderful thing, but you mentioned Second Life. And I know that, that Second Life is one of these things that people were just getting lost. I mean, maybe it's just because I'm an old man listening to the television reports that are like, people are butt chugging. And then they're also like, they're like, if you're on Second Life too long, you'll vanish into a chair.
It's literally butt chugging, right? Because like one butt chug is fine. But like if you're butt chugging all the time.
If you're spending 24 hours.
It's not the butt chugging's fault. It's not, you know what I mean? It's literally that, you know, if you can have a glass of wine a night through your butt, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Sure.
But if you like go to the doctor and the doctor's like, man, you've been butt chugging too much.
Yeah. It's like you wake up and do it.
You know what?
Well, the first one's an Irish coffee.
One butt chug is too many. 1,000 never enough.
No.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those who are unfamiliar, let's just talk about
chugging.
Second Life.
Oh, Second Life.
We all know butt chugging.
Great.
Please,
which I'm pretty sure you can butt chug in Second Life. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah. Tell me, I only ever heard about it in dreams.
All right. This is rated G, right?
Yeah.
This is rated G for general audiences.
All right. So bleep all of the, no.
It's just one long bleep.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, Second Life was invented with the hopes that humanity would come together and come together and create a beautiful world, you know, just where, you know, the whole thing is user generated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everybody creates their own world. They can use actual money. You can,
I have some stories, but I want to hear your description, then I'm going to give my description, and we'll see where
Hal right now is the lady at the hair salon who knows that his friend is lying.
right. Oh no, well, hold on. They recreated Hogwarts and in incredible detail, and they've recreated.
They like a company would have done it, or a user would have built like a perfectly detailed.
And all the skins are user created, and for you, skins are like what you would put on top of.
Thank you.
Yes, your avatar. So,
Avatar, wonderful movie.
Yeah, I mean, technically, it's based off of like a game avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you plug in, and you're in another world.
Well, I'm familiar with all the concepts.
I know, but I never.
I'm not quite that removed. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Assume nothing.
Let's talk about Pizzagate. No. No. So it's a real they create incredible things, but then what it ends up being filled with is not beautiful things because there's no real moderation in Second Life.
Yeah.
And so basically, if you're into something real weird, there's a world for you there.
Yeah.
Like, can I say,
yeah, you can tell, you can.
So Gorian. All right. Gorian it's a series of books. It's Gore, right? The world of Gore. And they create these beautiful lands. But in this world, and it's based off the series of books, but all the women are slaves.
Oof.
No, I mean, yeah, but it's, whoever's in there is doing it because they want to be there.
Right, that's true.
It's a consensual community.
It's a very consensual community.
It's role playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they take it incredibly seriously. Like I remember my role on Second Life, and my boyfriend at the time, we would play because he was on the other side of the country. So this is how we connected. We were griefers pretty much. Do you know what a griefer is?
I don't.
So basically, you can ruin somebody's day by glitching out a server or like screwing, you know what I mean? That's not fun.
Right.
We would dress up in costume and show up to like a sex dungeon dressed as 100 Aladdins. And all have fun together.
So you would try to ruin what they were doing.
Ruin their narrative. Like they were having a really good time but it was never supposed to be mean. We didn't want to like actually ruin their day. But the Gorians, man, they were the worst because we would show up and like we would drive a school bus around. And I just remember it's all there. There's no anachronism allowed, right?
That was
no.
So if you have a world that you enjoy,
banned. But I just remember my boyfriend going, I think I just ran over a guy with a cape. Like it was. So we would just progressively get banned from more and more places, just ruining role plays. I have a really good story, but it's a bit of a long one, so maybe that's for another time. But
all right. So that was your Second Life experience.
Yes.
I'll tell you mine, because it had been around for a while, and at that point, I think people were reporting like people are making real money on this site.
Yeah.
Like because it had its own currency, and then people would somehow that the economic source where people were becoming rich. And I wasn't showing up for the gold rush. It was just enough to go, all right, now my curiosity's peaked. So I went in. It took me a half an hour to figure out how to do anything other than fly and be ignored by everybody else playing. And then I went to like a weird neighborhood that looked like the set of an AHA video where they were like, hey, we're having an adult party next week. And I was like, wow. I am not logging back in.
I was curious.
I was curious.
Were you not over 18? I don't understand.
No, I was in my 20s.
Well, that's the thing. It's so fascinating. There's like a world where people like to be eaten by giant creatures like that. They like that. It's sexy for them. And there's a whole land where you can just go and be eaten by different things. It's crazy. The amount of work and effort that goes into these worlds is mind-blowing to me.
Do you, when you're in Second Life, if you are going to these worlds, from where are you going? Like, you had your boyfriend was on the other side of the country,
yes.
You said. Did you guys have like, in Second Life, you like had a house together?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, we had a clubhouse. Well, actually, I think we had like our own private house and then we had a clubhouse. So like if we wanted to get away, because we had 100 people in our group.
Oh,
we had 100 griefing people that would follow us around everywhere.
So you guys were just mischief makers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's...
Yeah. We just, yeah. It was
pretty
so much
fantastic.
fun. It was so much fun.
And it's still around. Second Life is still
It's
going.
terrible.
Is it?
I signed back in and it's just ads everywhere. It's pretty
Right.
much abandoned. It's not, the frame rate is awful because I'm pretty sure there's no real support for it anymore.
Right.
Right.
It's just a disaster, but I still have those beloved memories.
Did the dungeon that you went to or these other worlds, have they been decaying? Like you go through now and you see them and the buildings themselves are starting to crumble
I think that they disappear after you stop paying. Because I remember I was paying money. I was paying rent for land, and it was a significant amount of money. But I also would go strip. So not actually, the girls would go to the strip club. We would take over a strip club. You click a little animation ball and you just dance around and people just give you money and you don't even have to do anything. You just literally leave your avatar there and like put on a cute little outfit. We don't go down full. It was not,
right.
no, but not a full nude.
You're not going to go full nude.
No. But there was also a jukebox which had access to every song that has ever been made. And we would just put on our music and just like sort of talk to each other and hang out and people just give us actual money.
I don't understand who is going to a strip club in Second Life.
People in denial, probably.
Also because like, if you have a whole world of people that like, if there are people that like to get eaten, your person is out there.
I know.
In Second Life.
No, it's
Who's
true.
into whatever you're into.
Yes.
So, and people would pay you actual money.
Yes.
That is
Make like $5. You could make like probably $20 just hanging out on that ball and dancing.
I picked the wrong career.
No, trust me. You didn't.
I'd still be there right now amidst all of these vanished buildings. The building would have disappeared around me and it'd be like the White Room and I would just still be up there.
Yep.
Dancing to the Carpenters.
That's right.
So I think that's not the dark side.
Yeah.
But maybe people who are opponents of video games and board games might point at that and go.
A good way to bring it back to the topic.
Right.
So you'd say, yes, there's community being built there because there is, and community around shared interests, whatever they may be. However, the entire basis of that community is masquerade. Mm-hmm. So you and I, who could never have met before, but we meet on Second Life, we might become friends or roommates or whatever there, and never actually know one another. But we could also know one another as well. I think for the people on the outside, that's where it feels sketchy. That's not what it is now.
Mm-hmm. No.
As a person on the outside of video games,
right?
Like I said, most of the video games I've ever played, I've cracked jokes about it, but it really is like I will bust out a Wii and play Wii bowling every once in a while, or I like watching buddies go through a game because I do think they're beautiful worlds. But whenever anybody hands me a gun in a game, I stand in a circle shooting it in the air because I can't figure out how to run around and shoot.
Which can be just as fun.
Right. Yeah. Look, as a person who can't figure out how to do anything but that, I don't think it's exactly as fun. It's minimum fun. The worlds are great. But yeah, the community aspect that you mentioned like 15 years ago would have been different, but do you normally play with strangers, you normally play with friends of yours? Do you have like a bullpen of friends that all own an Xbox that you all get on and play the same game at the same time
at this point, yeah. I mean, for instance, we've been playing a lot of PUBG, which is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, right? And that's sort of a newer game for PC. It's eventually going to come out on Xbox, but it's everybody plays it. Mm-hmm. Like everyone who has a PC plays Battlegrounds. That's what they're playing. Do you know what I mean? So when a new game comes out for them, it's not like we're dipping back into like 3 years ago and playing some Left 4 Dead 1. You know what I mean?
So, it'll like the zeitgeist determines what games everyone is playing at a given time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Cause I figure like if there's a game you like, it doesn't matter if it's, 2 or 3 years old. You'll find someone to play with you, but all your buddies will be like, oh, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I'll play that with you. I beat it twice, but I'll play it with you.
I've been talking about Left 4 Dead too, but that's one of my favorite games, both Left 4 Dead. So occasionally I'll make people go back and play it with me. But it's a fun game.
Yeah.
All right.
I made a bunch of friends playing Overwatch.
Oh yeah.
Ron Funches actually was the one who trained me how to play it.
No way.
Because I got it because other people had it and it seemed like fun. And then through him, I met a bunch of people. Now I have a group of like 10 to 20 people who I'll play. We went from Overwatch playing that for a few years to Destiny 2. And then I play the basketball games and one of them plays basketball. So we'll play that together. So it's not like they've become For me, it was new. I liked to play. For me, gaming was always solitary because I grew up with consoles that didn't go online.
Right.
And I didn't, I played Warcraft.
Yeah, the Sega CD doesn't have a modem on the back of it.
Exactly. When I played Warcraft, it was just a game you played by yourself or you had a LAN party and other people played it. There was no World of Warcraft. I played the first 3 Warcrafts.
No
and then when
way.
a social element was involved, you're like, no, thank you, and stop playing.
It felt overwhelming.
Yeah.
And my experience with that or Call of Duty, or Medal of Honor, anytime I went on and played against people who weren't my friends, they were way better than I was and it wasn't fun. Mm-hmm. Overwatch was the first time where it was like, because the goals in that game are different, you actually have to think when you're playing.
It's not just an FPS.
Exactly. So everybody can first person shooter, Mark.
Thank you.
Yes.
So
sorry.
There's a collaboration and teamwork involved and it's not about your individual score. So then it clicked for me. Oh, I see why people play this together. Mm-hmm. And then it's more fun. I'm a PlayStation guy. It's more fun to have a party where 6 of your friends are on there and you're talking, even if you're not playing the same games. Mm-hmm. So I get the social aspect of gaming is now, for me, caught up to board games. It has the advantage of being instantaneous. I have to make plans to go play games with someone.
Right.
Video games, you just get on and see who's there.
I made some friends playing Left 4 Dead back in the day, and they are still friends of mine, but we were so close. This is kind of embarrassing to admit.
Please.
We were so close that sometimes we would fall asleep on the phone together. Just the 3 of us, we would just fall asleep on the phone together.
Aww.
Yeah.
I love that.
So the thing, I grew up here in LA and I've had friends and I've had people that I thought were friends that turned out to not be so good at being friends.
Right.
Because I think that when, you assume a certain amount when you're friends with a person, but it's harder to really get to know them, I think. Weirdly enough, here as opposed to in game where there's no pretense, there's no you don't have a judgment, there's no snap judgment. You just know them based on who they are. They don't have any reason to hide any aspect of themselves unless there's a catfishing situation going on.
Right. See, forgive me that I don't know any of this. Are generally people, because the thing that scares me about playing video games in an online the idea of plugging in an Xbox and being like, who's online? Let's play a game that is terrifying to me because I don't know how to play the games. And you say that's sort of an equalizer, except to me, I would not feel at all equal because I wouldn't know what I was doing. What's the learning curve like for someone who is new to a game? Because with a board game, there's always that moment at the beginning where, someone stands up and clears their throat and pulls out the little piece of paper and says, this is how this game works.
Which, by the way, no one listens to that ever. You just start.
Really? Because I'm usually the guy that gets up and reads it. No one's listening to me when I do that?
No one's listening.
Is that why they all have snacks when I look up from the paper?
Mm-hmm. The first, basically it works this way. I don't know who the first person is to read the instructions and understand it, but there's always one person who brings the game to a group of people and then they learn through playing. Not through the instructions. Cause man, you roll the thing and then you.
This is in the video game world you're talking about.
No, this is board games.
This is board games, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, my ears just go, it's like, the Snoopy, the teacher from Snoopy. I just don't hear it. But once you start playing, you figure out that way. And I think with games, it's kind of similar. A lot of games borrow mechanics from other games. So if you're good at one game, generally you're going to be good at a different game. Mm-hmm. But there's also, the thing about multiplayer, a lot of them is you can do it anonymously. You just take your mic out and you just don't have to talk to anybody and just be bad at the game and keep failing until you start figuring out how to be good at it.
Oh, that is true. I love.
Yeah.
I did that. I did have one great experience, recently. A friend of mine had a virtual reality system. He had the Oculus Rift, which is online and it's crazy detail. And this game is great. It's a cowboy game. I'm sure you've seen this one.
I'm seeing if I can remember.
It's a very detailed cowboy game, and I remember that my hand was a skeleton.
Okay, I don't know that one.
Okay. So I assume I'm also a skeleton.
It sounds like a dream that you had.
I may have seen a billboard for the movie Coco, and I'm just having dreams about Dia de los Muertos.
It's that video game where it's the last day of school and you're naked and you're late for the test.
Yeah, you know that video game.
You said and you haven't read the script. And
exactly. And they say, you're on.
Yeah.
But I'm playing this game, and it was online, and I'm playing with someone far away who nobody knew. It was a stranger. And I got on, and clearly I don't know what I'm doing. And the guy that I'm hearing in my ear goes, first time? And I went, yeah. He goes, okay, here's how it works. Hold your hand out to do this, swipe. If you want to grab something, do this. Now you're set. And I was like, oh, well, awesome. Thanks. And he gave me just like a quick crash course. And it was really nice to me the whole time.
The people in VR are generally a lot nicer. You're going to have better luck with those guys.
Oh, because it's a new thing for everyone.
Well, they paid $600 to get a headset. So they, you know what I mean? They are, I feel like there's a responsibility. They have a sense of responsibility to, you know what I mean?
To make that a pleasant community.
Yeah, there's not like some guy who just stole an Xbox is playing Call of Duty and they're like, your mom.
Yeah.
Dang it.
That's all you were doing.
Dang it. I'm sorry, but it wasn't even
what's great
it wasn't
is
even my voice. I was doing somebody else's voice. So it doesn't count, right?
No, it doesn't count. It was somebody else's set.
I could have said worse things because I've heard way worse things.
Yeah.
It's not like golf. You don't have to like get the fewest bleeps of any guess.
If you just search any video game and the word toxic on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
It is startling.
Yeah.
And that's why that's an argument for building your bullpen of friends that play games and finding your buddies who are online.
But I think as far as criteria, I think learning curve is a good one. How easy are they to pick up? And I would say if you're not familiar with a controller, it's going to take a while to figure it out because all the movement, like figuring out how it all relates. For you and for me, who grew up with it, it seems like it's very intuitive.
Yes, but you can also learn that on your own, as opposed to with a board game where you're going to have to learn with other people. And if you can't figure it out, then you're holding people back.
That is true. However, sometimes that you learn better. So I was on Jonathan Colton's cruise. We were on the cruise last year.
You did Joko Cruise.
We did Joko Cruise this past spring. And I went and did Pat Rothfuss's World Builders. He did a gaming thing.
Right.
They're like, will you be one of the celebrities? I was like, I think you're misunderstanding the term, but yes, I will. And I sit down at a table where I'm assigned and they're playing a game called Boss Monster, which is a really fun card-based game. And when I sat down and I was like, oh, I've never played this game before, the eye roll of everybody else at that table was audible because they were not there to see who they were going to play with. They were there to play Boss Monster against one another.
That happened with you and I at another gig when we were in San Diego for Comic-Con.
Yes.
And we got brought in to do something similar with a Geek and Sundry thing.
Yeah.
I sat down at the table and the first thing I did was I was like, there are a few things that I am on and have done. And if you have not seen those, I apologize because I am ruining your game right now. I have no idea how to play this.
Funny.
You're going to spend the whole game explaining to me how this works. And then you're going to hate me in an hour.
I did that one too.
Did you do that one?
Not that. What game was it? I can't remember. It was like a Sherlock Holmes game. And I was like, I'm sorry. I have no idea what this is. We all had the same experience, which is that's funny.
So like, if you're going to do one of those games with celebrities, call Robert Downey Jr., man. They're just going to be starstruck that guy's sitting there.
Yeah.
But I will say that like they taught me and I was able to pick it up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you can make sense of the logic and what everything does a lot easier.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to pick up a board game or tabletop game, even though there are ones that are hideously complex.
Yeah.
I played the Game of Thrones, board game with Travis McElroy, who invited me over just to play it. I do not watch the show, so it made no sense. I did not understand the game and lost.
There's two of us that don't really watch the show.
3.
Oh,
Hey!
we're all in one apartment. That's crazy.
It's really weird. I'm like 3 episodes in. I was like, I should really watch that show. Wow, there's a lot of people getting their heads cut off. Wait, but that's his sister.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
I'm not sure this show's for me. Ooh, dragons.
Yeah.
So I'm
that was my experience.
I'm hot and cold about the show.
And then I got shamed enough that I picked it up again and then I fell off again. I keep like getting back on and falling off. So, I'll get there eventually.
Well, speaking of picking up and falling off, we're going to fall off right now of video games and take a quick commercial break. And then when we come back, we will delve more into board games.
Hey everybody, this is Hal. I'm here to let you know that We Got This is supported in part by HelloFresh, the meal kit delivery service that delivers your favorite recipes and pre-measured ingredients so you can just cook, eat, and enjoy for less than $10 a meal. All the ingredients come in handy meal kits, so you know right away which ingredients go with which recipe. They offer a wide variety of recipes that change weekly. Classic plan, veggie plan, and family plan. HelloFresh offers Hall of Fame, premium, and kid-tested recipe selections. Now, I have to tell you, I work a super busy schedule, and it is so easy to have pre-measured ingredients that I can just mix together to make a great meal. It's turned out great every time I've made it. I can't recommend this service enough. And even if you don't have a super busy schedule like mine, it's still nice to learn how to cook things by having everything actually portioned out properly. So check out HelloFresh, and for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh, visit HelloFresh.com and enter promo code WeGotThis30. No spaces. WeGotThis30. Go to HelloFresh.com.
Oh, sorry about that. Just had to dispatch some goons real quick. Hi, I'm April Wolf, lead film critic at LA Weekly, and when I'm not kicking butt, I'm hosting the new Maximum Fun podcast, Switchblade Sisters. Do you love genre films? Do you love female filmmakers? Do you love discussions on craft? If your answer is yes, you'll love Switchblade Sisters. Every episode, I invite one female filmmaker on, and we talk in depth about their fave genre film and how it influenced their own work. So we're talking horror, action, sci-fi, fantasy, bizarro, and exploitation cinema. Mothers, lock up your sons, because the Switchblade Sisters are coming for you. Available at MaximumFun.org or wherever you find your podcasts.
What's up? I'm James, the co-host of Minority Corner.
And look at that! I'm Aneke, the other co-host of Minority Corner.
Girl, guess what?
What?
We just hit our 100th episode!
What? And what do you think is going to be in store for the next 100?
Probably some more feuds with Jennifer Hudson. And I'm telling you,
we'll probably do more investigative reporting, too, like we did with the Kodak and their racist film.
Not to mention exposing the truth, like how we did with the ugly history of the Texas Rangers.
But we always lighten the mood with a splash of pop culture.
Olivia Pope's new wig, have you seen that?
It's poppin'.
Just like your lip gloss.
And Janet Jackson.
And you know we like to put our nerd glasses on and talk about things like Marvel.
It's true. That's it.
I don't speak about DC.
But you just did. What?
All from a perspective that's black, queer,
and ladylike.
So come on over and learn, laugh, and play, and join the corner. It's a lot of fun.
I'm having fun right now. Minority Corner.
All right, we're back.
So we started to segue away from video games into board games via the avenue of one of the criteria we are using, which is the learning curve. I think that's a great one that popped up. Yep. So let's talk about your experiences as a board or tabletop gamer. Is it okay if I say board? Tabletop is such more of a
sure.
Yeah, I mean they're the same.
Great.
I would say they're the same. I had pretty much no experience originally, and then I went on tabletop, and Will taught me. God, I already forgot the name of it. It was like a card game, but it wasn't. I wouldn't even call it necessarily a board game. And I sort of had my eyes open to this world of tabletop games, and so I working at Machinima, which is where I work. I got brought onto this show called ETC Party Time, which happens every Thursday at 4:30, depending on the thing. But it's basically we stream board games and no one ever sits around and learns how to play it. So we're just thrown onto the stream and they're like, well, we're going to figure this one out, you know?
But that is such a service you're doing based entirely also on what you said before of you don't want to hold anybody back by learning a board game. You can sit in front of a machinima screen and watch people learn how to play this game.
Yeah. And also it's funny because people will tell you if you do something wrong. They will tell you a lot and loudly, but, it's good to have that sort of feedback because then we go, oh, okay, well, this is something we did wrong. So we've been playing a lot of board games. We played Zombicide. We've been playing a lot of Secret Hitler, which is one of my favorites.
Oh my gosh. So
it's
great.
a really simple, so you know the game?
Oh yes.
It's real simple to learn and it's just hilarious. And there's a lot of screaming at each other and throwing accusations around and you find out how good your friends are at lying and whether or not you can trust them. But then I also recently just played, it's funny because a week ago we were supposed to do this. And so I sort of prepared myself.
My apologies. I was sick last week.
No worries.
Stop rubbing it in.
No, it's good because that was a rough day for me too. So I'm like, yes, Mark is sick. This is so good for me.
Wow. Unbelievable.
I was also glad just in general.
Oh, thanks, Hal.
You know, it makes you healthier.
Ooh.
That's true.
I feel so much better.
Yeah.
By comparison. Please continue.
Yes. So, I was sort of leaning more, I lean more towards video games, of course, and I probably will at the end of the podcast, but my friend Brian came over and he brought Mansions of Madness. And it was one of the coolest things that I have ever played. You use an iPad as well, and the iPad will sort of tell you the story, and the board pieces are all interchangeable, and you can just buy a new DLC kind of thing. So it's almost like a weird mashup, but for the most part, it's a board game, and it is so immersive, and it's so much fun, and and you can play characters if you want to play characters.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, like you can kind of have a very similar experience with board games that you would have with video games. You just have to play it with other people. And so it kind of comes down to whether or not you like people, really.
Yeah, if you like people being in the room or just in your ears.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, board games have had, because when I think of board games, I think more of classic board games. That's my world that I love. Like I have my Risk and I have my Scrabble and I have my Clue, and we had Maureen Johnson on to talk about those already, but it feels now like we're leaning more toward this new renaissance of board games that's happened in the last decade, which maybe more than a decade, but the first I remember hearing about it was around the time of Pandemic. Pandemic was one that blew up. And then you mentioned the Game of Thrones game. I remember playing the Battlestar Galactica board game, which was just as complicated. The instruction manual looked like War and Peace, and my cousin had read it and told me every bit of it. That took longer than playing the game did. But yeah, this sort of resurgence of games, has really been fun. Do you have favorites among those? I mean, Cards Against Humanity is the one that everyone knows. You know what I mean? It feels like
everybody knows
Cards Against Humanity is the one everyone knows.
Try playing it again.
It's
so topical. We tried to play it on ETC again for the first time in years, and you're just like, the big black beep. You know, like you go, oh, that's so funny. It's just not
right. That's why you have to get expansion.
You have to get
for sure.
Even new cards, yeah.
The new one is Jackbox Party Pack.
The Jackbox, I was just going to mention those. That feels like the new outgrowth from that world. Also uses are there card-based versions of these Jackbox games? Because I play, I'm a huge fan of Quiplash.
Quiplash is so good.
Quiplash is my new favorite game, and I will play, actually had a regular night, with my friends in New York. I just moved back in July, and I had a regular night with, some friends in New York who are all smarter than me. It is a college professor, a freelance journalist, a novelist, it was all very smart, fancy pants people that are all my dear friends out there. And I miss that game. I love that game. And so I will play remotely, because all you have to do is go online and, use your phone. You go into, for those who don't know how this game works, there is a main interface, but then you use your own personal cell phone connected to a web browser to play the game.
Yeah.
So it was just, I was getting constant, screen grabs texted to me. Eventually they'll figure out a way where you can see that third screen.
You have to use Twitch. You have to stream it.
You have to stream. Oh, you can stream the game on Twitch.
And then also audience can join. But I kind of think that we might have already just solved this, right? Because I think
the hybrid.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is board games are fun and Cards Against Humanity is fun. Mm-hmm. But it's not as fun as being able to type in your own answer.
Yes. That's the beauty of Quiplash, why I love it so much more. And shout out to our friends Max and everyone. If you're listening at Cards Against Humanity, we love you guys and we had a blast playing with you on the boat. But there is something about being able to write your own in the moment.
And by the way, I feel terrible for saying that because I played so much Cards Against Humanity and it could be that I just played it to death.
So did we.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm not trying to start a fight between you and Max.
But there is a flip side to that. Like the three of us are creative and we probably enjoy writing that stuff. The same reason why if we were to play Scattergories, it would be like who can come up with the most creative answers for this rather than actually trying to get it.
There's no Harvey Weinstein card. You know what I mean? Like you can make it.
Coming soon.
Stuff happens so fast.
The victims of the news cycle. Yeah. But I think there are some people who are frozen by that. Who don't like the people who would play Pictionary and be like, I'm not good at drawing. I don't know. And then there's humor in that as opposed to, all right, write a joke.
Yeah.
You have to write a joke to play that game.
That is a good point.
They don't just sell Cards Against Humanity at the specialty game shops and comic shops. like they do some of these other
Yeah.
games. They sell it at Target now. Like that is that is
Yeah.
everyone in the world can play.
And also, I think it's our job to,
Right.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
like, for me personally, I like being able to customize my own answers because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, it can be topical. I can, I can say words that you wouldn't be able to say. But I think for the normies, as we called them in the video game
Sure.
space, it might be it might be less intimidating to have pre-written answers to
Yeah.
just.
While we're on the Jackbox games, that whole pack is pretty great. There's a trivia game in there. Have you played a Trivia Murder Challenge?
No, but we've been playing the fourth version.
Oh, I haven't gotten the
The
Jackbox 4 yet.
Yeah, the internet game's real fun.
Ooh, I don't, what is the internet game?
You ruin your friends. It's hilarious. So basically, it's kind of complicated to try to explain it. It's one of those things where you have to learn how to play, but
Sure.
by playing. But essentially, the game will ask you a question, you answer it, and then it switches it up so everybody sees that somebody else's answer, and you have to write a headline that makes that look stupid, right? So like they wrote a comment. And you write the headline for that comment. And they have different versions.
There was
of
a
that.
t-shirt version of that, the t-shirt samurai or something like that on one of these Jackbox. It was, you draw a picture and then another person
Yes.
gets, to write a quote and then that quote gets,
It's a
but
lot
all
of that.
these feel like they're variations on classic board games. It's
They are.
like sitting around playing
Yes.
not charades, Celebrity
Well,
or,
you don't know, Jack, essentially the original game
Oh,
was
yeah.
you were on
Right.
a game show.
Yep.
yeah.
You're on a crazy game show. It was really well written. They have the same guy doing the voices. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so, I mean, very clever, very well done. But like, just thinking, I'm just getting back to board games. That's what we were talking about. And this is not a segue at all. I just want to talk more about
No,
board
let's
games.
talk more about, it
Well,
was a bit of a
also,
tangent.
Yeah.
There's something we haven't really touched on, which is Dungeons and Dragons. Like
Sure.
that's a tabletop game.
That's a question. Do we see, to me,
It
that
feels more like an
Dungeons and
adventure.
Dragons, Pathfinder, the Star Wars role-playing game I played
Yeah.
as a kid, Marvel, like, those feel like their own, like, that would be, role-playing games feel different to me than
Oh, well-
sitting down to do Settlers of Catan
Right.
or play Axis and Allies for 5 days as we reenact World War II. There's a lot of like, let's World War II, World War
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
Like maybe it'll be different this time. We'll play diplomacy and I'll be the Ottomans and we'll win.
Well, if you look at, I mean, it seems like a lot of these, that's where they came from, right?
Yeah.
They came out of,
Yeah.
chess comes out of figuring out military strategy and thinking about the whole board. And
And
so
checkers is just for dumb people, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I always,
And then-
for the record, I always prefer checkers.
Yeah,
A
sure.
lot less stress.
Sure. And King Me is
Yeah.
way more fun to say than check.
Yeah.
is
yeah,
Othello / Reversi
Mhm.
lower on the ladder than checkers or higher on the ladder than checkers?
Are you checkers is just you move it diagonally or
Right.
you know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
no I mean, I played is it Reversi or I always thought it
It's Othello, but it's called Reversi in some place. It's the same thing. You flip.
I wouldn't be able to remember how to play it, to be honest. And
Yeah, I
I
don't
played it all the
remember
time
how
when I
to
was a
play it
kid.
We should
Checkers,
play
you
it.
just
I'll
don't
beat
forget.
both of you.
Yeah. I
Oh,
sit
sure.
at the
As I
Cracker
go.
Barrel with
That's-
my grandfather and we used to play checkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's the everyman game.
Yeah.
But these are the games I played a lot. When I was in college, during the summer, I would work and my closest friends were nice enough not to go out and do cool stuff. They would come over and we would play Monopoly
I love
for
Monopoly.
hours. I love
Monopoly
It
makes me
always-
so angry.
Yeah, well that's the thing. Somebody's mad at the end of it, no
Yeah.
matter what.
Because Monopoly it feels like the whole point of Monopoly, and we talked about this, I think before, the whole point of Monopoly is, hey dummy, look, even if everyone starts with the same amount, there's some ruthless jerk out there that's gonna get lucky and sweep the whole board at the end.
Yeah.
Monopoly.
Yeah.
That's the
I know
point.
that's the
movie of Monopoly.
That's the point.
I owned Monopoly, but I didn't own a dictionary, so I didn't get that until right now.
So, like board games, one time,
Uh-oh. Oh, Hal has tickled
not my
himself.
cousin, but my cousin's cousin
Uh-huh.
was over. We were all playing
So you-
Monopoly.
Come on.
No.
Okay.
This is an independent cousin
Okay.
who got so upset he left. And I thought it was the funniest thing on earth that he'd been so upset by a game of Monopoly that he left our house,
Yeah.
got in his car and drove home. The anger you get in board games is always directed at someone else.
Oh yeah.
I'm mad at you because you did something
Yeah.
that messed up my game. In video games, I feel like I get mad. I mostly get mad at myself, But then that goes sideways and I'm like, maybe it was somebody else's fault that we lost the thing. And maybe if they'd done A, then B wouldn't have happened.
True. I guess I lose so much in team games that I don't. You know what? When we're playing Battlegrounds, Shibby, who's usually our team leader, does they do blame. I don't blame people when I'm playing, because if I lose, I don't care.
Now, do you guys...
There's just another round, you know what I mean? But weirdly enough, I get more mad at board games because I think, they're not cooperative for the most part. Like, certain games are Mansions of Madness or cooperative.
And Pandemic also a cooperative game.
But for the most part, the board games, if we're taking out D&D and all that stuff, most of them are I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna be the winner.
Are more video games cooperative than adversarial?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're on a team, if you're playing with your group of friends, generally you're probably going to be on a team together.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not if you're playing basketball against somebody online or...
You might be on a team with them, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my friend and I will go to the playground in NBA 2K18 and we'll find a third person who my friend will be like, this person's probably garbage. Let's get off these spots and let's go back in. And then together we blame the third person if we lose. Well, they're terrible. They weren't passing. But my question for you, Chloe, is: are you competitive?
Yes and no. Board games, yes, because we're all on an equal playing ground. I think with video games, I never expect to be good because there are people who spend way too much time, or not too much, but way more time on one particular game than I do. I don't have the time to play Overwatch for 200 hours because I have to play a different game. So I expect other people to be better at it than me.
Because you do this professionally, this is your job.
Yeah.
Do you tend to play, your friends that you play with, are they also huge gamers, or is this other people that are your buddies that they know that you're the one who does this for a career, so you're the best one out of the group?
It depends. I play primarily with the people that I work with at Machinima. Okay. That's my friend Brandon Winfrey and Shibby and Ian Scott, right? We all work in an office together, so we just sneak off and play games together. Or I'll play with my friends that I met online.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would say I probably am mid-tier in all of those people. I'm definitely better than Brandon for sure. That's the most important thing, so.
Interesting the way you put that, because I'm a board game guy, like I said. It feels like with board games, that's more of a thing where you can play with people who aren't exactly into that board game. You know what I mean? Where you sit around and play with people who that may not necessarily be their thing, but you're all sort of having this experience of this game together.
Yeah.
As opposed to plugging into an experience that you all know well and working through. I guess for me, what it comes down to is, because they're both community experiences. And that's the point of a game, right? Is to have fun and experience things with people. At least now in video games it is. So is the community experience, whichever one has the better community experience is going to be the winner out of this.
Well,
is what it feels like.
Yeah, it's true. But there's so much work that goes into building a video game. And there's a lot that goes into balancing a board game. But when it comes to a video game, there's so much work and balancing multiplayer modes. And, for me, I think that's more beautiful,
the
because
density
generally
and the beauty of it.
Yeah, and community is fun, especially if you're having a drink, a couple beers and playing a board game is fun. But then also you're committed to that game, and you only really if you're playing a proper board game like Mansions of Madness, which is a 2 to 3 hour game.
Right.
You're committed to that game.
Right.
And you have to finish it because otherwise you just wasted an entire night. You know what I mean? I found myself at 11:30 on a school night going, "Oh my God, can this game please just end?"
And in the case of Pandemic, if you're playing Pandemic and it goes poorly, you're like, well, we just wasted 3 hours and everyone on Earth is dead.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are short games, there's a great deck building game called Dominion. The first time I played it was at a birthday party, and it took me one game to figure out what it was, and then once it made sense, I was like, I taught it to my wife 20 minutes before she had to take me to the airport. She beat me every time we played. I think I've beaten her once every time we played since then.
Is it two-player?
You can play, it's 2-player. I think you could have a lot more with expansion packs. I think it's 2 to 6 or 8. Mm-hmm. So there was it was a quick it's a quick game. Risk is not a quick game.
No.
unless you're playing it on your iPad.
Yeah, iPad Risk, it made me realize, oh, right, Risk is only a really long game because of all these tiny little pieces.
Well, and also, like, if the three of us are playing, I'm going to make a deal with you on one border, and I might make a deal with you on another.
I never played Risk because I was so intimidated by how long it was.
It is.
Yeah. Try if you ever want to try to learn how to play Risk, the iPad version, you can play a game in 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the other
the
issue
thing that takes so long with that game is counting all these tiny little pieces.
Yeah.
The biggest issue for me is also finding other people who cared enough to learn how to play Risk and spend like hours and hours playing Risk.
Right.
You know, and that was, I think, one of the other issues with board games is like a lot of the time people who really enjoy these types of board games, they are generally homebodies for the most part. From my experience, it's kind of hard to get, like, I don't know, maybe I'm totally generalizing here, but me personally, like, I play games because I don't want to go outside. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go hike. Who wants to do that?
When you can hike a mountain and throw a ring into it from sitting on a couch.
Yeah. Or,
there's probably a Lord of the Rings game, right, guys?
set stuff on fire with your hands. Like, you know what I mean? That's awesome. So I think when it comes to board games, to try to get people in one place at one time and to commit to that and then, like, you know what I mean? It's just more of an effort where you can just sit on the couch. And I know that sounds so like cheap and it's all about like looking into somebody's eyes
but
and connecting with them. But I don't, like, I've connected more with people that I met online than I did with people in my high school. I had no friends in high school. All my friends were online friends. So for me, it's not that big of a deal to not be in the same room with somebody. Do you know what I mean? So I would probably lean towards video games.
Well, you made a great point too about if their community experience is in many ways close enough and similar enough. Two other criteria that really seem important are the time that it took to create a thing that is, I've seen a lot of beautiful board games and card games with wonderful artwork on them. I've never seen any that looked like a blockbuster movie the way that some of these games look.
Yes.
They're absolutely beautiful, and access to them, because we're lucky in Los Angeles. We've got, I've got a store right up the street that sells all of these crazy new fangled board games. But in an online world, as opposed to a physical world, all you have to do is go online and click something and you downloaded the game.
You don't even have to have friends. You can play video games and you don't have to have friends. But like board games, you have to have people that trust you enough to come to your house.
Yeah. And and to play that.
Or you trust them enough to go to theirs.
Exactly.
And sing the song saying who you are and what your address is. And
that's how you tell people, you tell people to come over to your house to play a board game.
Exactly.
Does it sound like we may have an answer then?
I think so.
I have
came in knowing that was already the answer.
I mean, if we're not including Dungeons and Dragons, which is like the best kind of board game where it's really immersive,
right?
Then I have a tattoo for a D&D game and I have a tattoo for a video game. So you
straddle both worlds.
I do straddle both worlds.
And I have this full board of sorry tattooed on my shoulder. And dice on my wrist. If you roll them just right, you can go all the way around the board and into home.
And I'm having my right ear replaced with the spinner from the Game of Life.
Ooh. Can you get a Pop-O-Matic bubble for the other one?
That's what I was thinking.
Boy, that would be madness.
Oh, yeah.
But I also kind of want to do it.
No.
All right, I won't.
You definitely don't want people hitting you in the side of the head all day.
That's true. I don't.
Yeah. Hey, you have a Pop-O-Matic bubble? Please don't. Please don't. No. By the way, I meant to say bubble, but it came out Pop-O-Matic butthole.
Oh, bringing it back.
My apologies.
Back to the butt.
That's right. I'm butt chugging through my Pop-O-Matic butthole. Hal, bring us home.
People of the world, look, I'm 6 feet. I'm not in great shape. I'm trying to get there. The Weight Watchers is going slowly, but at least I'm counting the points. I enjoy basketball very much. This is what I'm going to relate it to. This isn't what takes it over the edge, but
I thought you were doing
I love playing basketball. Like actually playing basketball. I love doing it. But I will never be a 7-foot rebounding center for the Philadelphia 76ers in real life. However, tonight I could go home. Chloe, I appreciate that face of hope.
We were both making the face.
Maybe you can. But I can go home and turn on NBA 2K18 and finish my rookie season where I'm leading the league and rebounding and then meet my friends in the park and go play. Doesn't mean I shouldn't go outside and play as well. Now that I'm saying it, I just am sad for me.
Well, hold on. We were the generation of kids that were told they were special all the time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is true.
Anything can happen.
I'm an only child. I wanted
Me
for
too.
nothing. Yeah. So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knew the only children were going to pick video games?
But socially, like, my best friends to this day, we still talk about and play games together.
Yeah.
Playing Contra in the middle of the night with John or Street Fighter with Jesse, like doing all those things. That was a way that we built community together. So the knock on video games, it doesn't really exist anymore the way that you think it does. So you should give them a chance.
Yes.
Should you play board games? Heck yeah. You should get a group of people together. Go to meetup.com or go to your local gaming
J-Date,
store. Go
Plenty
to
of
J-Date.
Fish.
Plenty of Fish. OkCupid.
OkCupid.
Wait, these dating apps have board game settings?
Sure.
FarmerGamersOnly.com. Just go there and meet somebody that you can play games with. However, with video games, Chloe points out the community is always there. If you go online, somebody is playing the game you are playing and you have a chance to meet them. I've made friends through gaming. A friend of mine, Jason, who lives in Austin, Texas, who we met playing Overwatch. Then I was in Austin doing a Night Vale show. And I was there for the day and he came and met me and we went and had lunch. I met his mother and it was like, we've known each other for long enough that it was shocking for a second that like, oh, we're actually we're in the same city, sitting in a car together.
Coolest.
But then it was like, for me, it was like, we're friends.
Yeah.
This is a normal way that people make friends now. And I think we overlook that. And that I think is sort of the deciding factor in this. And that
This
is
a
why.
really long decision.
Chapter 4. What were you going to say?
Okay, so this is what I wanted to say. So I actually just made a show, and it's called Co-op Connection. I'm not sure how much I can say about it, but I'm just going to say it anyway. It's a show for Facebook, but essentially it's based off of that idea where have you guys seen the dating show or the dating game back in the day? Like it was a bachelor and 3 bachelorettes. It's the same thing, but they're playing a co-op game together. They can't see each other. They just can only talk via headset and play a co-op game together. And they can sort of get an idea of what the other person is like to be with. Because like if you're playing a co-op game like Borderlands, they're stealing all the loot, not sharing any with you. Or if they're running ahead, not taking care. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's kind of a cool way to determine if this person could be a cool mate, you know?
Do you think, so you think Life Jerk Game Jerk Life Jerk?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think in some ways, yeah, because it really does say a lot about a person if they are just hoarding all of this stuff and then you have nothing, or if you're getting attacked by a hunter in Left 4 Dead and nobody's there to shoot it off of you and you're screwed, you know, somebody who's got your back in a game, you know?
All right.
But there you go. And that is why video games are better than board games. Video games win, but play all games. Play games.
Games
Let's spread
win.
game playing.
Games.
For me, Quiplash wins.
Yeah. Asked
Which
and
is kind of a
answered.
mix of both.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
You
Sorry.
can find a mix of both.
I didn't mean to talk over your ask.
I said asked and answered, and I meant it, young man. This has
Thank
been
you,
asked and answered.
Caleb, for emailing us this question.
Yes.
This one is closed, but there are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter at We Got This Tweets, or check out the Maximum Fun subreddit, or
You can email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, just like Caleb did, or go to facebook.com/groups/We Got This Podcast. Chloe, thank you so much for joining us. You have the game coming up. Where else do you want people to go? What should they be looking at, watching?
You can
following
check
you?
out my Twitter. It's at Skydart, SKYDART. I should know how to spell it by now.
There should be a song.
I know, right?
SKYDART.
And
That's
this is her
me
address.
on Twitter.
Maybe not that part.
The code
It's
to
an
my
outdated
gate
address.
is
It's
one.
my parents' house now, so have fun with
there you
that. Yeah, so there'll be more information about like the co-op connection dating show that I did, which is my baby, and I've wanted to make for years, so I'm happy that's
congratulations on
Thank
getting it
you.
done. That's very
awesome.
cool. When
Thank
does
you
it?
very
When does
much.
it? Can you tell us when it comes out, or is this?
Supposedly, hopefully in December, mid or late. We're still figuring it out, but
Excellent.
it should be out pretty soon. And then also, you can friend me on Xbox and PlayStation and Steam. This is my end zone, so maybe we could play some games together and make friends.
All right, I'm gonna friend request. We'll see if I get accepted or not.
We'll see.
It'll be the big test.
We'll see about that.
I will not get accepted because I just ruin every game.
Well, thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
Thank you always to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, our listeners, for giving us this chance to sit down and talk about games. Games are the greatest. We all love games. We all play them. We all want to play them more. We wish we were playing a game with you right now. Maybe we are. Maybe you're listening to this while you are playing games, with these two, not with me. I haven't jumped on yet. I will. This has made a convert out of me. Thank you for listening to this show. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin, and don't worry, everybody. We got this.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Listener supported.